Hello and welcome to the Dallas Soccer Show. I'm Dustin Nation and I'm here with Jonathan Ross. How's it going, Jonathan?
It's going pretty good, Dustin.
We're back at you with another lineup prediction show. We've got Montreal on the weekend. And Jonathan, you want to get us prepped for that match?
Sure. So Montreal, it's on TXA 21 late start, 10 p.m. because it's the game itself is at 6:30 our time, but the broadcast has been delayed until 10 p.m. For those who are local, you can watch it on the FC Dallas. I think it's FC Dallas/live.
FCDallas.com/live.
Yes. And so you will still have an opportunity, at least locally, to watch it real time if you're interested. Otherwise, you can always record it and watch it the next day, probably, if it's a 10 p.m. delay. Going into the match, there's a couple of things that we do know, right? So we've come off of a really great win, right? One that I think got a lot of us FC Dallas fans pumped up, and then to have midweek the loss in LA 2-0. This game, we know from a lineup perspective, the official injury report is out, and Santi is officially. I think they listed him as questionable, but some of the things I saw, I think we're just assuming he is not making the 18. We also know that Pepe traveled with them to LA and to Montreal, so the assumption is it's him, unless they've grabbed somebody last minute to fly in from Dallas. But I think that's the going in assumption. So, Dustin, we had two really big games where they played the same formation. One was a win, one was a loss. Do you change things up? And if so, what is your? We'll start at the back. Well, actually, we can start with formation if you want.
Sure.
And then start at the back and see. Let me know what you're thinking.
So you're right. We're coming up on 3 games in 8 days. We've got a very short week to play against Montreal. So probably going to have some tired legs out there. Are we going to need to shore things up defensively? Maybe add an extra man, do 5 at the back or something. We're going to be facing maybe Maxi Urruti, so he's going to be running real fast like he always does. But I don't think that Luchi Gonzalez changes the formation. I think that we stay with the 4-3-3. It's his bread and butter. It's the way he wants to play football, and I can't see him changing away from it right now. I think that he's really so with the playoffs seeming maybe not quite so maybe not such quite a certainty. I think more and more we'll see Luchi just drilling in the way he wants us to play and seeing who fits and who he wants to stick around and who's gonna need to move on because they don't quite cut it. So I don't think that we'll see much change in tactic nor in formation.
All right, and interesting enough, because I also thought about the 5-man back line. Part of the reason is what you mentioned is the team just, it looks like they ran out of gas against LA. The first 45 minutes were I heard some saying it was a boring game. I thought it was pretty entertaining the first 45 minutes. You were just waiting for someone to score. I didn't know if it would be us or LA. But second half, they definitely lost gas. So, thought about going to a 5-man formation just to mix things up. But, and bring in some fresh legs. But I agree with you. There's not 8 or 9 games? 9 games left in the season?
9 games, including Montreal.
Yeah, so you don't go back to something that you did one time against Atlanta early in the season. I agree. You kind of play out the formation. So then the question is, you've got a couple of options on that back line that are a bit more rested, right? They haven't seen as much time. Do you grab one of those guys, or do you go with the same 4?
Right. So center back wise, I think we stay the same. I don't think we bring in Bresson to play center back, which leaves left back and right back as places where we could bring in some fresh legs. Though our fullbacks provide a lot of width and a lot of forward play as well as covering defensively, so they've possibly got some tired legs, and Reggie Cannon didn't have the greatest of games against Los Angeles, but he just came off of that fantastic game where he got this goal against that team that they played, whose name escapes me. Here at home. Oh, Minnesota. There we go.
Minnesota. I was like, it was Minnesota. Yep.
I got there. So he's kind of, at the moment, kind of a mixed bag.
And remember, he had the flu that day too, right? So he's
strep throat, or
strep throat, right? Strep throat. So he had a fever, strep throat, and played that game anyways. And then I agree, he didn't look as well in the last match against LA. So he looked like he ran out of gas. He's definitely one of the ones that didn't play as well.
Right.
So you're gonna change it up, man.
So funny story. After the game, I was actually Reggie had to leave pretty early, so we scrummed around Reggie to all ask him questions so they could get out the door. And so I asked him a couple of questions, and when I was done, he stuck out his hand. He just got done telling Armand how he had 103 fever the day before, and then I asked him a question. He stuck out his hand to shake my hand. I'm like, I'm gonna get strep throat. I shook it, and I did not get strep throat, so that's good. But anyways, yes. So does Brisson come in as the right back? I don't think so. I think that we stick with Cannon. And then, so does Nelson come in on the left back for Hollingshead? I don't know. I don't think so. I think we stick with the same back line. I think Hollingshead keeps it, and if we can, I think Nelson comes in as a sub in the game, and we move Ryan Hollingshead somewhere else. How about you,
right.
Jonathan? What do you seem like you have some disagreements?
There's so many different things to consider because I also agree. I thought that so center back. I agree. I think it's Hedges and Ziegler still. The question would be for me, Hollingshead, I think is going to be on. I think the question for me too was Cannon, whether or not you go with Brisson. I went back to look because I didn't think that Nelson had traveled, and Nelson didn't travel with the team. So
okay. Well, there you go.
So he's not an option. So it's really Reynolds, right?
Yeah.
Who he's had one start, right? Did he start? I know he's come off the bench and had some good games. I'm just trying to remember if he's actually had start yet. Yeah. So, do you do that on the road? I don't know. I mean, to me, all this hemming and hawing, and I think I'm going to say I stick with the same back four. Dustin is we've had the last two games. I don't think, despite the fact we had 2 goals scored on us, I don't think the back line has been the problem. So I'll stick with the same 4 as well.
That's fair.
So moving into the midfield, I guess
next time.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you don't mind, next time I start talking about a player that didn't travel, just stop me, so I don't sound like an idiot.
I heard you. No problem. I actually looked down at my phone. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, look down. I was like, man, did Nelson even travel?
It's been a busy week for me. I'm barely aware that Santi was injured. So,
well, I think the Santi injury, it was one of those 18 times he slipped and fell down. So I don't know if he just gave up. I don't know if you noticed that. Yeah, because it wasn't just him. I think there was a field problem. Yeah. But Santi was the one that seemed to hit the deck the most when trying to make a fast cut. But no, that
it almost looked like Houston out there.
So in the midfield, right? So this is, I'm guessing, where things get a little bit more interesting. My first question for you is: Are you assuming Paxton's ready to go?
I am, but we've talked about the need possibly to rotate because of the tiredness and the seeming wear and tear that we've seen Paxton suffer. And it looked like he was kind of trying to fight through some of that towards the end of the Los Angeles game. However, from what I understand, he is ready to go. And in this game, I actually think that he still gets the start. I don't think that we rotate him and show any kind of rest or anything. I think that the midfield three also stays as a unit. I think it's going to be Paxton, Ferreira, and Brian Acosta as that midfield three, just like it was last time. I think that Lucci liked what he saw there, and I think he wants to see what can come of that. And so I think that despite maybe some tired legs there, I think that it stays the way it was against Los Angeles. How about you, Jonathan?
Man, this is tough. Yeah, I'm actually pausing because I'm conflicted on what I want to do, because there are some other options, right? So obviously we've got Cirilla and Cervania both. We haven't seen Cirilla in a while, but he would be the more natural placement for Acosta, who I actually think the last 2 games has had a pretty good game, right? Just maybe he could get a little closer before he takes a shot. But I guess maybe the positive with Acosta is he is staying back, which is I think what we all want him to do when he's in the single pivot, defender. But I mean, outside of some of those high shots, he's been doing well. I'm actually going to rotate out Paxton.
Okay.
So I have Jesus is still in the midfield, and then I've got Cervania. So I'm going to have Acosta, Cervania, and Jesus as the centers, at the center of the field. Yeah,
we could see that. It'd be another young pairing up in front of Acosta, and I talked to Jesus after the last game, and he loves playing with Paxton, and he loves playing in front of Acosta. But I don't think that if that ends up happening, I think Jesus and Cervania have played together in the past for quite a while, so I don't think that there would be that much of a problem there that we haven't already seen with Paxton there. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, so then we're off to the front three. So
this is where it gets fun for me.
All right.
So we kind of got a lot of options that we could do here. Not all of them, not many of them are great options.
Yes.
But there are lots of things we could do here. So we know Santiago Mosquera is probably not going to start. So I think that we've got the locked-in starter of Michael Barrios. So that leaves the center forward, which is either going to be Baji or Cobra. And then the left, or the other winger, which could be Brian Reynolds, which could be Edwin Jesse, and could be, I don't know, you could move Jesus over there. I don't know. Obviously, I don't think that Jesus is going to do it. So the question for me is it going to be Brian Reynolds or Edwin Jesse? I saw Buzz tweeted out that he thinks it's going to be Brian Reynolds. I've seen some other people think that it's going to be Edwin Jesse. For me, I think we move Mikey to the left and we put Brian Reynolds on the right, and we put Baji in at front center forward. So that's what I think we do, and that's how we roll out against Montreal. What say you, Jonathan?
I say, dang it, I should have went first today. That was because I had gone back and forth about, to me, I think Baji's going to be the 9, because you're not going to put Cobra in there. And then, obviously I've already, to me, if I did play Jesus, I would put him at the wing versus at striker, because I think that's our bigger weakness. I actually think it's the same front three that you went with as well, Dustin. See, that was going to be my crazy prediction as well. I hadn't heard that. I didn't see that tweet from Buzz. So, but I do think we got to mix something up. I just don't. I haven't seen anything from Jesse that tells me that he deserves a start.
Yeah, and not only that, I don't know that Lucci trusts him yet. You saw some questioning remarks after he came out of the game against, was it Orlando, early on, and then practiced the next day. So I'm not certain there's a trust there that Lucci's ready to just send him out there and entrust him again with another start until he proves himself and can regain that trust. So that is probably the reason why I went with Reynolds instead. So.
Yeah, and when Jesse has come in recently too. I went back and watched the last game again, and he was, I think already people have figured out he's gonna go with his left foot. He was dispossessed fairly easily on a number of occasions in the last match. We'll see. I mean, I'm hopeful, right? He was our lone reinforcement, right? So I think we all hope that
he was significant.
It was super significant. But yeah, let's give Reynolds a shot. I mean, why not? I mean, he has looked good when he's come on, and that with our other options, which are limited, then I think you'd have to do that. The only thing, and I know we can't make an extra prediction, but to me, otherwise, if you could put Ferreira up in that, I'd put Ferreira up there before I bring in Jesse and then replace Ferreira with either Pax or Zavania or whatever, depending on who wasn't playing.
Perfect. Yeah. So before we get to our score predictions, I just want to let's take your lineup because I'm intrigued here. Let's count up the number of homegrowns in that lineup. So we've got Reynolds, Ferreira, Cervania, and Cannon, Jesse Gonzalez. So that's five homegrowns.
Yep, that's 5.
Yep.
You're gonna have bonus though because you want Pax.
That's right.
So you've got 6,
so I
right?
would have 6. No, because Cervania and Paxton.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, good
so
call.
5 each.
I'm bad with math.
I was a math minor, but I can't do arithmetic. So, alrighty. Well, that would certainly be interesting. I love seeing all the homegrowns. I also like winning, so we'll see if we can get both. So, on as far as score predictions, what do you think comes of this Montreal match?
Well, hey, I gave my score prediction first last time, so.
Okay, this is my night to go first. Okay.
So what are you thinking, Dustin?
All right, I'm of two minds on this, mainly because they're not here in Texas playing in 108-degree heat. Minnesota might be, Montreal might be a little bit more comfortable, and they might be able to have a little bit more of a pep in their step than we might have thought. However, 3 games on the bounce. I'm going to be a bit of a Debbie Downer here. I'm sorry. I'm going to go with a 3-1 Montreal victory over FC Dallas with Baji getting a goal.
Wow, you are a Debbie Downer.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, folks. I
mean, last time we predicted FC Dallas won, and they won, and so. I'm also I'm going with a 1-1 fantastic, not that exciting actually draw against Montreal. I actually think we get the first goal, but then Montreal ties it up in the second half, and we just can't manage to finish anything else. So I guess we both agree on the one part. It's just how many we can hold Montreal to.
Right. Yeah. I think it just really depends on how knackered that midfield and the backline are. So hopefully I'm wrong. I don't want to be right here. I just something that's my gut feeling. So we'll see how it goes. All right. The game is tomorrow night, 6:30 local on fcdallas.com/live or 10 o'clock on TXA 21. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining me.
Of course, Jonathan.
And we will see you later. Thanks for listening. You can find us online at DallasSoccerShow.com and on Twitter as @DallasSoccerShow. We're also on YouTube if you're listening to this on the podcast, so you can go see our smiling faces. If you're on YouTube, we also have a podcast, so you can head over to your favorite podcast app. You can find Jonathan on Twitter as @JonathanRoz12. And we will see you later. Thanks for listening.